That's the map at the kiosk. I probably have to zoom in to actually see that, what that looks like. But I'm gonna go through a quick walk through the course really quickly. So we are on hole 1. Let's just walk through quickly. 315, 0 elevation, par 3. I'm gonna try to take a quick walk, get through the whole video. Not necessarily any new information on this video. Saw a dead bird there. So I'm gonna try to get a quick walk through the course. The forest is lush right now, super healthy, growing everywhere, just flourishing. This is fairway hole 1. Lost a little branch over there last week. Catalpa trees, oak trees. Got some little bitty ones coming up. All these are planted by our group. Got a mulberry and a maple right by the basket, and then a whole bunch of honeysuckle. We got grapes. They look like deer turds, honestly, but we got grapes taking over the forest this year, and that's about preventive maintenance and maintenance. It sounds like what I've heard is that this needs to be done next winter. This winter, I'm sorry. Hole 2, 172 par 3, 172 feet, 15 feet of drop in elevation. Coming down the fairway, everything's looking really good. Fairway's growing a little bit. The parks, I'm sure they skipped doing the grass this week because I finished doing the whole course on Saturday, Sunday-ish, mostly Saturday. Coming down to the basket. There we go. I'm not going to suggest any specific shots or anything for anybody. This needs a little bit of trimming up. That's moved, encroaching on the walkway, so I've got that. Coming up to hole 3, this is a very common aced hole. Par 3, 207, 16 feet of drop of elevation. Basket straight ahead. Got to do a little bit of trimming right over there because I played with a left-hand player last week, and he pointed out how that has changed and how it needs to be opened up a little bit again. So I will do that soon. It is so muggy out here the last 2 days. Last night it was just not hot, but so muggy you had to sweat. It was just, today even, it's like swimming. We had a shower this morning. It's like swimming. Tee pads in good area, good shape. Another thing is, I looked back at some old videos, and the course changed since we built it. This is kind of just a video where it's at this time and date. So it'll change again. So we're standing on tee box of hole 4, one of the original holes when it was 9 holes. 215, 15 feet of elevation. So basically we're kind of going right back up the hill. This hole is kind of the opposite of hole 2. So here we go. Walking up the fairway, and it's best to hit this big gap here. That's your straightest, shortest line to the basket. And instead of going all the way to the basket, I will show that, but I'm going to take a shortcut. I'm trying to get a quick walk, make this video short as possible. Getting through the whole course. I might do 9 at a time. We'll see what the video looks like. So there's a basket there. And this whole fairway is kind of open to drive your disc as well if you can make it up there. Cleaned up all that last week. There to open that up. Hole 5. Hole 5 and hole 6 are exact opposites almost also. 259 feet minus 32 feet of drop. We'll see what the next hole is. 259 with 32 feet of drop. Par 3 as usual. Standing on the fairway. I'm going to go ideally straight down the middle of the fairway. There's other ways to get there, but straight down the middle of the fairway. And then just before this tree right in the middle, you want your disc to go left to the basket. And I want to say from the tree in the middle that we're walking toward, there's one right in the middle of the fairway, you can count on your disc needing to go another 50 foot left. So from here we'll just show this vantage point of the basket here. Here's a basket there, and here's the tree in the middle of the fairway I was talking about. And kind of reference the basket to that. It's a little bit past that tree, but about 50 feet left. Can't really see that from the tee box. Everything in this forest is really just thriving right now. We've had a whole lot of rain showers lately. We had a drought earlier this year in this area, however you want to define that. But yeah, this been having a lot of rain lately, and stuff is just going to keep popping up, growing. The creek has been very busy. So we're standing at hole 6. So 203 with 25 feet of elevation, par 3. And this hole is a really good hole, but it was kind of, I want to say it was better. Had more bells and whistles on it back then. We don't really like to do a lot of trick stuff. Mostly classic, traditional stuff, old style course. But we put this bridge up, and then the water disappeared, so that's what it is. But you got to throw up above this block wall here, or throw up short first, and then make the second shot up to the basket. But typically I go up to the upper hill and try to park it. We're on the steps or stairway, whatever you want to call it, and everything's kind of slick right now. Moving along, we have a ton of mushrooms right now on the course, a variety actually. So there's a basket there. We got some chicken of the woods here. A whole lot of that going on right now. We got, I don't even know the names of these things. A ton of them. Got some of those there. Some of those. Lots of mushrooms popping up. There's a basket headed to T7. Walking up this way. This is one of the longer treks that you have to make from one basket to another. It's only about 100 yards, but you got to make your way up here. Pavilion on the left, brush on the right. We have to make our way around this corner to hole 7. Everything is growing nicely. Another little type of mushroom there. Not sure what that is. I don't know the names of any of these actually, except one of them. Some people actually come out and harvest these things sometimes. Okay, hole 7, 237 downhill, 15 feet, par 3. Standing at the tee box, you can't see the basket, but step over just to the right. You can see it way there. You can see the basket there. You have to step to the right just to see it a little bit. And typically, if you're right hand, forth hand, throw a flex, whatever you got to do. There's this tomahawk shot. There's all kinds of things that people have come up with. Excuse me. I take a local line, and a few people know about it. I'm not afraid to share that local line, but I very rarely see anybody use it except myself and a friend. So there is an ace run on the local line that I'm not really going to announce. But if you've ever been here, I've probably told you about it. There's a basket. I've got some tree debris to clean up on the right there. Continuing on the course, we do need to address this soon because it's pretty slick down here and we're getting some erosion constantly. We did fix it once here. This is getting outdated. Okay, here's a good ace run here also. Hole 8, par 3, 181 feet. 2 feet of drop in elevation. And I normally keep this side pretty cleaned up for people because we got a narrow gap here, and this tree here is a real woozy. That one will get you if you're not careful. On the right side is a creek. We are all along a creek system, so a lot of times when people don't like these bushes, that's understood, but it also is a protection to keep your disc from going down in the creek. Hopefully you don't throw it so badly that it goes down there, but that provides protection from a lot of things. We have this group of stuff right here. Although it doesn't look like it serves any purpose, it does protect the tee pad of 16 and anybody on it. So we're going across this bridge from 8 to 9. We're crossing this bridge on the right side, and we're going to what I would call the back 5. This part of the park wasn't used in our original build, so these holes were added later on to become 18 holes. And see what we got. We got par 3, 272, 0 elevation. So I kind of knocked this stuff down yesterday. I need to get this soon, but I knocked these vines down yesterday that were kind of dead. I need to cut that one feeder that's still there. So we'll come down this fairway, get a tree down on Friday night that I cleaned up for Kelly on Saturday. I put these logs over here to kind of define what we want to be the rough. We're really going to cut it, but somebody's already moved one of my logs, so I'm not sure what that's about. That's weird. It is what it is. But anyway, this right side here opened up considerably because we had a tree down there this Friday and we removed that. So that has always been a hindrance if you're throwing a right-hand hyzer. This part over here kind of left you in jail, where now you're not in jail. So here we go, the basket. Next tee, just continue on up the hill, heading on to hole 10. And I don't know if anybody's, you can't really tell by the camera, but I've been in almost all shade until you get to a couple of the fairways. It's very shady here. Also, I'm on the tee box of hole 10. 250 feet, par 3, +3 in elevation. It's so difficult of a shot that it's hard to really register the elevation at all. It doesn't seem like there's much. It's a hard shot getting through this middle gap here. So with this basket not being visible from the tee box, pretty much have to go make your way through these trees here, then go left quite a bit and left quite a bit more. So just getting through this gap is a good thing, but ideally you're gonna hit somewhere in this area and skip and get some ground play toward the basket. You can get there on an air shot, but it's just harder. So there's the basket, and nobody's able to break this hole and go straight at it, so you have to use a fairway because of the tall trees protecting it. Walking down the pathway to hole number 11. This one is another short touch shot. Got some purple type growth on there, and I have no idea what that is, but that's pretty cool. I believe those are cherry, that purple stuff growing on there. So hole 11, 195 feet, -14 drop in elevation. Everything's looking good. Got one branch here that looks like it's getting ready to go some couple more years. Everything's really looking good out here. I'm pretty sure that the grass was not cut this week because I finished it all. We got to do something with our pallets here. We had this walkway in here because of the water, and it's kind of past its use now. We had one layer, you can see, we had one layer underneath there, then that got covered, and then we put another one on top, and we'll see. This walkway is kind of wacky, but it is what it is. It's there if we need it to elevate the walkway, and we can also use those things for spare parts if we ever need them. Okay, walking up to hole 12, 219 feet, -2 feet in elevation. This one is a great ace run. I used to flex this one, but I don't know why. I mean, I figured out that you can go straight at the basket. Why not go straight at the basket? So I've been doing that. Everything looks good here. Got a little bit of extra growth over here. That stuff always pops up quickly, and that stuff always pops up quickly because it's constantly fed by water. We have a little stream going through here for drainage that we've worked out. So this hole is going to grow a lot because of its being fed with water at the ground level all the time. This little oak tree in the middle is the one obstacle you have here, right down the middle of the fairway. We're hoping that will grow bigger. That's done fine so far, but it takes some heat from people hitting it. The basket here, we've got the basket surrounded by a little bit of edging that helps keep this thing dry. We did that a few years ago, and this green has been much more accessible by the disc golfers and much more forgiving. Before it used to be a lot more muddy. We've got the mud mostly going over there. Got our walkway here, kind of slick right now. I'm a little slippy. Be careful here. Coming up to hole 13. I would call this last hole on the back 5. Got a lot of benches out here as usual. Got plenty down here. So 273 feet, 0 elevation. And standing at the tee box, really, there's 2 trees right in the middle of kind of where you want to be, and you have to go right or left of those, and then hopefully get a skip to the basket there after those trees. That's kind of how this hole plays for me. You can kind of get there on an air shot, but only once have I made it on an air shot on an ace run and I hit 2 inches low on the center of the cage, which was really disappointing. It's a hard shot to make. Ace run or not, it's still a pretty hard shot to get up there to birdie. Just gotta shape your disc the right way, which is never easy. Almost through here, so on hole 13, heading to the basket down the fairway. Everything is lush and growing nicely. Don't see any major damages or issues. Very few minor ones as well, but this will give a good tour of the course at this date. And we'll see how that changes. I suspect changes. This pile of wood over here, really common for us to pile things up there, and I just doubled that pile at the end there, so this is obviously dead for a while, and then that stuff is the stuff I added, and we count on the city to come get that stuff. It's been a while because the chipper's down. We don't have to have it chipped up and brought back to us or anything right now, but just getting them to act on the course is a challenge. It's not like they don't have anything else to do, but this is definitely one of the things that needs to be done. Heading back across the bridge from the back 5, we came across this bridge on the way to hole 9. We're coming back across, then we're turning right to go to 14 and 15. We're at this is kind of a junction where several turns and holes come together. You have to just navigate your way through that one junction, and it works out fine. So we're like on the second long trek from one hole to another. It's a couple hundred yards from the 13 to 14. Basically 245 feet, 1 foot of drop in elevation, and you're going way down there. The basket is right up in there, right in the top middle of the screen beyond that log. Really hard to see from here. Let's see if I can get it. There it is. You can see it there, 235 feet away. And don't go here, this is actually a creek, so we have to go around here, go across the bridge to get back on the fairway. You can't just walk forward and go down the fairway, you have to walk across this. Discs do go in the creek sometimes if you miss, which is pretty harsh, but it's only about 30 feet off of the tee box, so hopefully people can make it past 30 feet on their drive. This fairway is really well defined over here, but we start getting into a little bit more rough on the right side, and we want and need that. We've got a ton of sassafras trees growing up here. Got a bunch of small trees that are getting ready to mature soon, so that's going to change this whole landscape over here. But as of right now, this is kind of rough, and the reason is to separate hole 14 from hole 15. We used to have that completely wooded, and there's no way you could get a disc through there, but now it's much more open. So here's a basket here. If you can get up to this log right along this area right here, that would be a common good shot from the tee box, and then from here is about circle's edge. You can make a putt from there. But it's even more bonus if you can get over the log, and that's kind of one of the things that make this hole cool, is that natural obstacle right there. So going from hole 14 to 15, we just head down over here. Got another sign. You see we have these signs all over. Look for these, T15 with an arrow. We've had those for years out here, and a couple of them are getting beat up. But that's how it goes. So I'm going to stop here and just point out the basket from 14. So there's the basket for 15. The reason I'm pointing it out now is because you can't see it from the tee box, but basically you have a big, long, open fairway with no trees or no obstacles the whole way. So this is a unique hole at our course where there's nothing in your way between you and the basket, except you have to make a good shot. So basically, got to make a big, long, 333-foot basket. This is the longest hole on the course. It's different than every other hole. This is a good variety, sponsored by Gateway. So you got to go straight forward, but there's a road on the right that you have to stay left of that road. So I'll go here, 333 feet. I didn't notice the elevation, but we'll just call it 0 because it might be a couple feet drop, but that's it. It's not really, it plays like a very flat hole. So we're walking down the middle of the fairway. You can see the whole forest is looking really nice. Really healthy forest we got going on right now, which is one of our goals, to keep that. We are a disc golf course, but we are a forest. And both are working well together right now. And this will change. We'll see what happens over time, how this changes. And it has changed a little bit. Like I said, this was all deeply wooded over here, so that has changed, but I don't know if that's going to change too much in the future. So there we got the basket there. A couple of guardian trees, but to be honest, they're not really between you and the basket or the tee box, but there are a couple guardians right there. That's a nice natural guardian. So if you throw long here, you got a problem. If you throw short over there, you got a problem. But if you throw it just right over in this area, you got a nice putt. And even better if you park it underneath the basket like I've done once. It's not an easy shot to be accurate from 330. I'm sorry, it's hard to park it or whatever from 330. It has been aced. I've seen it run many times. Just not me. It's usually somebody on my card. So, wet grass. Now my Crocs are squeaky. They probably have been the whole long time and I haven't noticed. Alright, so I'm just passing tee box on 14 again. I just came back 15. Cross back over this bridge, and to make this flow, we got, let's go a little bit right here. Here hole 16. And we're almost finished, thankfully, so this has gone pretty quickly, thankfully. So hole 16 is 260 feet, 2 feet of elevation. There are people who have broken this hole and gone up that way, but it's still a risk reward, so it's okay if you want to try to break this hole. People have and do, but there's still a risk reward there, so it's okay. You can try to shortcut this hole, but your chances of making it are 50-50, so we feel like that's fair. We might actually open that up there to entice people to go up that way, because we've got a lot of traffic in this corner, and we'd like to divert some traffic to the high side of the hill and less wear and tear down here on the bottom side. So we're turning uphill. We had to take a 45-degree right turn after we get through the gap, and then we're headed up the hill. Got a little stream that's Mother Nature's kind of formed on her own that has helped keep this area dry because it's been wet in the past. We are in a creek system, so things like that will happen. That stream will get bigger as we go, so in a couple years that will be a bigger stream. If things continue the way they have been, and I expect them to, that will continue to get opened up. So this is a nice quick exercise in the morning. I went through a little bit quicker than normal to make the video shorter, but I'll get my exercise in while doing it. And typically On this hole and the next, people sit on this bench because it's uphill and it's a little bit exhausting after you've been through the whole course. 17 and 18, the walks are kind of brutal because of the uphill, downhill, mostly uphill. So we always make sure there's a bench to rest on. Ooh, it is very muggy. I feel like I'm swimming out here. It's not raining, it's not extremely hot. It's probably in the 80s, but it's like swimming. It's so moist out. Hole 17, 238 feet, 1 foot of drop. But that doesn't really explain the hole very well. So this goes downhill to this low spot. It goes uphill again to the top of that hill. Then goes down again to the basket. So seeing the basket, you can see the top portion of the basket there. But it goes downhill, uphill, downhill to get there. So there is some terrain here. Retaining wall that we built last year, still looking good. Doing its job. Walking down the middle of fairway 17, so this is all ivy. It's all rough on 17. Really, you want to get past this bridge on your first shot at least, because anything from back here is a really hard par save. You kind of, if you land short of this bridge up here, a lot of times it's a bogey because it's a really hard up shot if you're back here. And although it is punishing, it's fair. Once you get over here, things open up and you can get your approach to the basket a lot easier than back there. Everything's looking pretty good here. Got a tree down on the left side here that fell on Friday. Thankfully it's not in play. It's a little tiny bit in play on the rough, but not very often do people go there. And then it's also on 18. We'll look at it there. This is one of our great success stories. This walnut tree has been amazing, beautiful tree. That's going to keep growing and growing. That's been fun to watch that thing mature and grow. That's going to be a big tree one day. Beautiful, healthy tree. Super straight. No damages, storm damages in it yet. And it's kind of taken over after this cherry tree has basically matured and died. So that walnut's going to take over in that area. You see, it's not exactly next to it, but it's close by, so it's going to fill in that space. All right, here's the basket and downhill. So if you're going toward this basket, there's a big downhill. If you go for it and miss, it's a risk reward. You could roll all the way down this walkway to the next tee box almost. Usually never makes it to the tee box itself, but you can go all the way down this hill roll if you miss your putt and miss the basket. And this is quite punishing. However, you do have a shot to get back up to the basket. There's still a clean shot up to the basket, but actually I do need to clean this one thing up here to make that possible. It's just a dead stick, so that's just course maintenance. But yeah, you can go back up that way, but this is kind of the punishment for going for it and missing on 17 is a lot of downhill-ish. Hole 18, we have an alternate pad that's about 40 feet back from the original pad. Here we are, original pad, you gotta go up the hill and left. We don't have specifically a dog leg, but we might as well call it a dog leg, and I'll point that out up there. The hole is 213 feet, 20 feet of elevation. But for me personally and a lot of other people, you're giving it all you've got to get it up there. Give it a full yeet and hope it makes it up and around the corner. It's a difficult hole 18 to finish. It's birdieable, definitely birdieable. But you gotta have a lot of power to get that. Here's the dog leg. Not a requirement on the directions, but if you get around this, you're better off than trying to shortcut it. There's the new tree on 18 that fell, and it's kind of in play on the rough, but I very, very rarely see anybody go there. And once again, if you go around the dog leg, it's not likely you'll end up there. Unfortunately, when that tree came down, we're probably going to lose 2 other trees here because they've got damages now because of that. So we might lose 2 of these trees in this little jail area here. It's common to land in here and just get jail for your putt. Saw somebody make one out of there yesterday. So yeah, that's about it. Quick tour of the course. That's what it is as of this date, and I'm sure it will change a little bit here and there, but it's been pretty consistently looking like this. The fairways will stay the same. The tee box and the basket will stay the same, but the course will change somehow. All right, I'm gonna sign out.